Ladies, gentlemen, and others, welcome back to Boz Comics. See, as promised, I'm not dead. I told you guys I would be back. I did get that job I was talking about in my last video, so I will be honest, it's going to be a little bit difficult for me to keep up with these videos, I think. I'm going to try. We'll see how it goes. I cannot promise the Monday through Friday thing, but let's be honest, I wasn't very good at maintaining that to begin with. Once I have a schedule locked down, I'll let you guys know. For now, know that more videos will be coming out, starting with this one, and hopefully they won't take, forever. Hopefully we'll be able to find some form of schedule again going forward, no matter what that may be. But yay, new job. Credit card debt is a bitch. Anyway, I told you guys that I would be waiting until Nick Spencer's what the fuck is it called? Last Remains arc wrapped up with Amazing Spider-Man, and then I would inaugurate my return to this channel with my thoughts. I have thoughts. They're not happy ones. I told you I missed a few issues, so I really didn't feel comfortable. I didn't want to go back and review every issue I missed, but I also didn't want to just jump right back on the reviewing train. With this series, I wanted to instead kind of just do like an overarching thoughts so far on Nick Spencer's run, particularly how it pertains, or as it pertains, to the Kindred drama / mystery. So, I've made it quite clear, I don't really like this whole idea of Harry Osborn being Kindred. I don't like it. I'm sorry. Somebody made a very passionate comment in one of the last videos I uploaded on the subject, and I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, I don't have your comment in front of me, but they pushed back and they were like, no, a lot of people care about Harry, and he's an interesting character, this is good shit, and hey, kudos to you, man. I'm no hate. If you like this is cool. I'm down with that. I'm happy when people are happy. But I've never been able to give a fuck about Harry as a character. I never liked him as a best friend. I always kind of thought of him as really obnoxious and just a terrible supporting character. I have never been what a bro. He to me has just always been really obnoxious. His constant family drama just fucking impugning itself on Peter's life, and it's fuck off, man, go away. I'm sorry that your dad is literally the worst, but fuck off. And so when it was oh god, no, Kindred is gonna be Harry, isn't it? That's so obvious. That's so awful. Oh my god, Kindred is Harry Osborn. I will say that over the course of this past arc, it was nice. There were a couple of references that Peter made while beating the shit out of Harry that felt like a wink and a nod to the audience, where Nick Spencer was going yeah, I know that you guys are gonna be a little upset that it's Harry. I know that's kind of lame, but I promise I'm doing something with it. Because Peter's beating the shit out of Kindred, and he's now that I know you're Harry Osborn, I am so beyond caring about any of this shit. He's what does he say? Oh man, here it is again. Poor little Harry, all wrapped up in his daddy issues, and he's taken on a costumed identity to get revenge. Oh boo-hoo. He basically says, screw you. And I will say that was pretty nice. Nick Spencer seems pretty self-aware, at least in that regard. I don't think he really follows social media after the Captain America backlash. I know he either deactivated his Twitter or made it private as fuck. And I don't even think he's on Instagram anymore. But I'm sure he knows what the general consensus is of his work as it's coming out. And I know that I am far from the only one that was Harry Osborn, what the fuck? But he seems to know that, and I think the one thing that makes me feel better about the whole Harry Osborn Kindred dichotomy is that that seems to be kind of a foundation that Nick Spencer is building on thematically. This idea that the Osborns and their shit is a constant cycle. It's actually pretty great. So the previous issue, which is something of a denouement, to the whole Last Remains thing. I keep wanting to call it Last Rites. Last Remains ended, and then there was kind of an epilogue issue last week. Or I should say like this past last week. No, we're still in the week. Fuck. So this past Wednesday, there was that denouement issue that came out, and a lot of it is taken up by Peter confronting Norman, who is still, rendered sane and repentant in the wake of the Sin Eater's attack a few issues ago. And Peter like lays into him, like nearly like beats him to death. It's pretty great. And Osborn is like, please, because they managed to capture Kindred using some fuckery from the Kingpin. It's complicated and not really important. They managed to... Spider-Man's not even the one that beats Kindred. It's Norman Osborn, Mary Jane, and the Kingpin. If that had happened through like Dan Slott, it would probably feel a lot like Spider-Man is inadequate. In this, it feels more like... It feels more earned. Like, it's okay. I didn't feel like Pete was being cucked or anything. It's just like, okay, that's cool. Mary Jane was pretty dope. It's fun. It's fun to see, like, Norman Osborn, like, trying to make up for his shit and, like, fucking, doing his part to wrangle Kindred and get Harry help. And so... after Kindred's been captured, Norman is trying to appeal to Peter, and he's like, please, you got to work with me to help my son. It's Harry. Like, you care about him as much as I do, please. And then Harry tells him to go, or not Harry, Peter tells him to go fuck himself. And it's really cathartic. He's like, no, I'm so done. I have people in my life who are not homicidal maniacs who can't help but continuously fuck their lives up. Like, I have moral and emotional responsibilities, Osborn, and they don't fucking include you or your misbegotten son. Like, I'm so done. Like, fuck Osborns. I am beyond all of this. It sucks that you turned Harry into a fucking monster, but eventually he has to take ownership of his bullshit, and so do you. Get fucked. Stay away from me. If you come near me or my wife or anyone I care about ever again, I'm gonna fucking kill you. He didn't say that in so many words. It was like near enough. And then he just fucking leaves. And it's pretty great because yeah, like it was a nice subversion of expectations, because you expect like this is going to be the beginning of an arc where Pete throws in with Osborn to try to get to the bottom of the Harry Kindred thing. And eventually it's going to bite him in the ass, presumably with like the return of the Green Goblin at the end of the arc or something. That's not what happens, at least not so far. Like, Peter up and fucking leaves. It's pretty great. But that kind of goes into the rest of the stuff that I want to talk about, and most of that's not very positive. So this shit moves at a snail's pace. I've been saying that since the beginning of this arc. Now, I gave Nick Spencer like a lot of leeway, because my feeling was that, like, oh man, like, Nick had to drag a lot of this out because I'm sure he was forced to insert like a whole bunch of this other stuff, like all the tie-ins and shit with other events and whatever. Like, I'm sure a lot of that was mandated. He had to really incorporate a lot of this stuff. I'm sure he had nothing to do with like Absolute Carnage, for example. All that. I think there was some Thor bullshit that was going on in the middle, like War of the Realms or whatever the fuck. There was a bunch of stuff where it felt like editorial mandate was probably getting in the way of the story he wanted to tell. Not changing his story, but like, he kept having to make allowances to slot in stuff that the higher ups wanted him to talk about. But that kind of goodwill only goes so far, Nick. Like, this is not anywhere near as bad as like the Nazi Cap thing. Or I guess I should say Hydra Cap. Oh God, I just said the N-word. I really hope this video doesn't. Anyway, where was I going with this? Right. So he's been dragging this out. And now I feel like there are no excuses, right? It felt like Last Remains was going to be the culmination of the Kindred story arc. Like, the truth about Kindred and Harry and what he was all about, was going to be unveiled. It was probably going to have something to do with One More Day. There were going to be massive repercussions. And then, that would usher in a new status quo for Spider-Man. I mean, fuck. None of that happens. None of that happens. The story is still not really progressed. Like, holy shit, this is bad. The writing is not bad. The pacing is awful. What the fuck? Oh my god, this has reached parody levels now. Nothing is revealed about Kindred, about what the exact nature of his powers are, about how he got powers. There's been nothing addressed about, are there two Harry Osborns walking around? Like, nobody has talked about the fact that, like, hey, Harry Osborn is supposed to be alive. If you're really like a demon from hell, like, does that mean Harry died off panel? Like, presumably, this is Harry from pre One More Day, which a lot of us were theorizing long before, Nick Spencer himself, like, even like almost came right out and said it. Right in the last issue that I was not Wednesday's issue, but the one before that, where the beatdown happens and Kindred is captured. There is literally an insert panel from One More Day. So, like, or not One More Day, Brand New Day, which is the fucking thing that which follows One More Day. But but there's an insert panel from Brand New Day, and it's Nick Spencer like almost coming out and be like, yeah, this is Harry Osborn, like pre like One More Day. But hey, Nick, why has no one like tried to talk to like the living Harry Osborn then? Like, unless like Kindred killed himself like off screen, that would be pretty horrific if it was like some Future Diary bullshit for those of you that watch the animes, where like, maybe there's like an insert story we're gonna get later where we see like Kindred show up to post One More Day Harry Osborn's place, and Harry's like, what the fuck? And then he just gets ganked. And now I'm having flashbacks to Dark Matter, one of my favorite TV shows that I stopped watching after like season 1 because the ending to first episode of season 2 really broke my heart. Anyway, wow, that's way off topic. I have feelings. Okay. So, like, nothing is learned. We don't even know really like what Harry wanted outside of him screaming about, confess. I think it's pretty obvious, right, to us as readers that what Harry is talking about is like, confess to your stupid fucking deal with Mephisto, Pete. Like, holy shit. Like, yo, you remember that part where fucking editorial mandate made fucking Spider-Man of all people like make a deal with the devil and ruin his most important relationship, literally just to fucking resurrect his dead aunts? Holy fuck. Like Aunt May herself would have been like, Pete, what the fuck are you doing? I'm a gajillion years old. Like, live your life with your wife, have a child, like, move on. Like, fuck. Anyway, yeah, like, that seems to be like Harry's whole deal is he's like, Pete, like, you ruined everything because you made a fucking deal with the devil. I'm not the bad guy here. Like, fess up. And then he realizes, like, oh no, Pete, like, you don't remember. So, like, Nick Spencer's dancing around all this, but it is doubly frustrating because it's dramatic irony. We, the readers who've been like dealing with this shit for decades now, like, we know what's up, or at least we're pretty sure we know what's up. The characters, because of demonic fuckery, 20 years ago, they don't know what's going on. So, like, nothing is happening. No one's moving forward. Pete is still largely in this position where he's like, well, I haven't done anything. Like, man, I don't know what that's about. That's weird. Now, I will say this. Clearly, Nick Spencer wants to continue the Kindred story arc further forward. Because the way it was working was Kindred was lurking in the background of like everything leading up to this point, like issue like 55 or whatever the fuck it was. 55 issues of this. Oh, that's kind of my point. And I think that now it's like, okay, Kindred had an arc, and now he's going to go back to being this little background villain in his little black box. And surely there'll be another like 50 issues or whatever the fuck, and it will culminate in in Kindred breaking out, and I'm sure then we're gonna get the real Kindred story arc, which just pisses me off to no end, dude, because this has been moving at a snail's pace ever since. Like, people like to dunk on Tom King's Batman a lot, right? Because Tom King's Batman, he was originally going to get 100 issues. He got, I think, 85 or 86. They cut his run short because there was just so much criticism about the way he was writing Batman. I enjoyed it because he wrote Bruce Wayne like a crazy, depressed person. Bruce Wayne is a crazy, depressed person. Anyway, you're all uncultured swine, and if you don't like Tom King's Batman, you're wrong. Anyway, I'm kind of afraid that Nick Spencer's going to kind of fall into the same trap that Tom King did, because with Tom King's Batman, like, okay, so here's the thing. Tom King's Batman, there were still, I mean, I know that I'm like one of like fucking 50 people who liked it, but Tom King's Batman, there were like different things happening each arc, but there was clearly a through line. Like, you could feel the progression. If nothing else, there was this sense of like the growing relationship between Bruce and Selina, right? With Spider-Man right now and Nick Spencer, like, in a vacuum, the individual stories are fine, but in terms of overarching plot, like nothing's moving forward. And it's, like I said, it really is getting to the point of parody. Now, as far as I know, like, Spider-Man continues to be one of Marvel's like biggest, like, top selling titles, and probably will be for all time. I don't know if there's a possibility that Marvel is going to look at Nick Spencer and be like, okay, Nick, like, you got to wrap it up because, boy, you done fucked up. People don't like this. I don't think that conversation's likely to happen. But I mean, it could. And unless Nick Spencer knows some things that I don't know, I mean, he probably does. But still, like, I don't know. I wouldn't want to run the risk. I guess I just wonder, like, this shit is enjoyable for you to write, because it's not really enjoyable, I think, for a lot of people to read. Nothing's happening. Stop blue-balling us about the One More Day connection, Nick. What the fuck? I think I said this in an earlier video. I do wonder if part of the reason that this story is paced so agonizingly slowly is if there's a war going on behind the scenes where Nick is like, please Christ, let me undo one more day. Please, I've ruined Captain America for so many people. Like, this is not altruism, people. I really want to be the good guy for Spider-Man because I was the bad guy for Captain America. And maybe he's just a sensible person who realizes that Peter needs to grow up, or, well, grow up again. And it's like, hey, can we move this character forward? Actually, funnily enough, whenever Mark Bagley draws Peter Parker, he always looks more like how I would expect him to look. He always looks like a grown man. That's funny. I wonder if there's something to that. That's interesting. Anyway, I do wonder if a lot of this is stalling. I wonder if there's this ongoing battle. This is all just conjecture. I have nothing to back this up on. I would love to have industry contacts. I don't have any yet. I do think I've managed to like ingratiate myself to a few people, but we don't have relationships where I can like hit them up for insider deets. But I wonder if there's this massive war where Nick Spencer's like, please, let me undo the worst thing to ever happen to Spider-Man. Please. I promise you will print money. Okay? Come on. Let me do this. And the plot's just moving at a snail's pace because he hasn't been able to convince them yet. But they also don't care about what he prints in the meantime. He's just like treading water, trying to get permission to do the big thing and undo the marriage. And maybe he's like slipping in all these references because he wants to show Marvel like, guys, see all the people like freaking out because I keep dropping references to One More Day? Let me fix this. I can fix this. Or maybe he's just really oblivious and just pacing this out terribly because he thinks it's cool. I don't know. Okay? I don't know. But the pacing is killing me. Speaking of pacing, this video is nearly 20 minutes long. I just want to see a resolution. Like, all of this is still far and away like so much better than anything Dan Slott put to paper in 10 plus years. Okay? And I really do want to eventually make a video, like specifically pinpointing the things that I hated about Dan Slott's run, because I talk shit about that man so much. I really need to break down what I hated about all that, because it's a good reference point for me as to what Spider-Man should not be. And I think a lot of people would be interested in that. But also, Superior Spider-Man was not nearly as great as a lot of you people like to make it out to be. Get fucked. What's that? I just lost like 10 subscribers. Anyway, really, I think I've made my point. You know, the plot is meandering. Nothing is moving forward. Even now, I feel a little robbed, because we were kind of led to believe we were building to something pretty epic. We thought we were going to see at least like an acknowledgement in universe about one more day. And then even that didn't happen. And so now Kindred is in his little black box going, just as planned. But it looks like he's going to be a background villain again for a while, because the next story arc is about Mr. Negative, who is a Dan Slott creation, who I have never once given a fuck about. Oh boy, I can't wait to read about Mr. Negative. It's gonna be so amazing. Can you tell how excited I am? Anyway, thanks guys for having me back. like I'm guessing you're home or something. It's my channel, bitch. No, but it is good to be back. I will try to do more of these videos very soon. I'm recording this video on Saturday, but I'm going to release it on Monday. So I will say happy Martin Luther King Day. I hope you all have a lovely holiday, and I hope to see you all again very soon. Okay, thanks. Bye.